Alicia in a Goldilocks, how to get it just right. Thank you so much for joining us for another hour of exciting conversation. And I cannot wait for you to meet our guest today. Just like every week, we have an amazing guest lined up for you. And you are going to get lots of wisdom and insight. And let's get started. As we take a step back and pause and wonder why we get together every week as a Goldilocks community, what comes to your mind? To me, it is about tapping into that inherent, innate child in us that knows exactly how to see the world through the lens of that childhood optimism and know that getting it just right is important. We can't show up too hot. We can't show up too cold. We can't show up too hard. We cannot show up too soft. What is that sweet spot where we can influence people? We can create that positive mindset. And in that process, how do we build those ennobling relationships so that we can light up our path and thrive? And in that process, everybody else's path is lit up. Remember, each of our light is like a light on a runway. A plane cannot land with just one light, right? Every light has to be lined up, allowing the plane to land. And our society, our sustainable prosperity is just that. It is the plane. And when we are facilitating it to land, then we need to make sure that we are surrounding ourselves with the right people and we have that positivity lighting up the way so that our shared plane can land, our shared prosperity can thrive. And keep that visual as we go into today's conversation, because together is when we shine. We need our optimistic partners and our community to facilitate that shared thriving. 3 ennobling thoughts I want us to take into the conversation today is starting with the company we keep shape us. Authentic relationships are like fertilizer of your blossoming success. Have you ever tried to grow plants, whether they are fruits or vegetables or flowers? You have to plant them, you have to weed them, you have to fertilize them, you have to nurture them. Relationships are exactly that. You just don't go and take when you want to. You have to invest in it and you have to grow it. And together we create a beautiful garden of human beings who are lined up and lighting up the path. And then when our light gets a little dim, we share from the light of another. Just because we share our light with another, we don't get any dimmer, we just shine brighter. And remember, the company we keep will always, always shape us. The second ennobling thought I want us to embrace today is the fact that our relationships transform us. If we lived in a vacuum, we don't have perspective, we don't have context, and we don't know where things are headed or where we stand. But when we have a community that is lined up, that is aligned and has value congruence, all of a sudden, we are looking for ways and we're finding ways we are organically transforming. Every human interaction is an opportunity for transformation. And as I always remind you, take advantage of those human interactions and transform not just everything around you, but your own life. The third nugget, ennobling thought I want us to take into the conversation is happiness is the new success. Success is not money. Success is not a job. Success is not living in a zip code. And success is not driving a posh car. Those are things. They come and go. The secret to happiness is mindfully living each moment to the fullest and embracing it. I love this visual. Can you see all these animals sitting around and knitting? Mouse is not tall enough to sit, but guess what they did? They brought the highest stool, stacked up some boxes. Now the mouse is sitting very high up top, right? The bear is so big, so he gets the smallest stool. And if the porcupine wonders, man, how am I going to do this? I have so many quills I can't knit. They said, oh, don't you worry. In our little group, you have your purpose too. In fact, your purpose is so important. We're going to make sure you hang on to all the wool because we need it coming out the right way so that we can all knit. Imagine these group of creatures creating this environment where they have a purpose, they're working their purpose, and they're doing it in a responsible way and meeting everybody where they are and mindfully integrating everybody into the activity. And they're going to have sweaters and whatever else in the bargain, right? And to me, that is a microcosm of how we are supposed to create that mindful community and create that happiness. And that happiness is a ripple effect like those water spots that you see right above it. So be a part of that ripple effect, be a part of that community that understands happiness is the new success and embrace it. Because when we embrace happiness, all the material things come. But when we embrace material things, happiness will always elude us. If you don't believe it, go ahead and take the time to read the life story of Steve Jobs. He had the technical skills, he had all the money in the world, but he died a lonely man with nobody around him because he never built that community around him, not even a family. So remember, happiness is your new success. When you embrace it, everything else will fall into place. And today, to have this fabulous conversation with me of surrounding yourself with positive people and live your measure of success is my dear friend and a wonderful coach and an HR professional, or I should say training professional from Australia. Mary Vaz, welcome. Welcome to the episode. You're muted, Mary.
Yes, thank you, Cass.
So let me give you a very brief intro to Mary, and then she's going to talk to us about her journey. Mary holds space for her clients and walks beside them on their journey of turning inwards to explore what is truly important. Doing this work creates the curiosity and capacity for her clients to realize and acknowledge how resourceful they are. She works with clients to focus on their priorities and live a life that feels more meaningful and joyful. As a consummate life coach, HR professional, and medical spouse, Mary is drawn to coaching individuals, people in midlife who are at a deeper knowing that some things need to change. Her clients are from diverse cultures and professional backgrounds. Mary is a certified member of the Australian Human Resources Institute, holds an executive MBA from the Australian Graduate School of Management, and is now completing a Life Coaching Academy professional coach ICF NLP program. NLP is Neuro-Linguistic Programming, for those who need to know. Mary lives in Melbourne with her husband of 27 years. Snowy, their beloved Labradoodle, is the official well-being advocate in the residence. And if you see him, you would realize that he is really an extremely important part of Mary's life, and it truly is the source of joy. So welcome to the episode, Mary.
Thank you. Thank you, Cass.
As we get started, why don't you take a moment and tell us about how you got to the juncture of coaching and transforming lives, because that is not where anybody starts planning their career, right? It is a place where you transform and land. So help us understand how you got there.
Thank you, Cass. Firstly, as a coach, firstly, in my career, the kind of work that I do very often, holding space for others in my professional capacity, it's part and parcel of what I do give advice to managers, influencing, shaping direction with regards to how we shape work cultures that are inclusive and creating a sense of belonging so that companies and individuals can be successful in the workplace. And also outside the workplace, the same applies to family and the community that I'm part of. So I see myself over the years, I could see that different parts of me coming together, very often interacting with people, starting to help move the needles, sometimes unconsciously. And I realized that it gives me a lot of joy, especially when people experience the aha moments. When we say aha moments, it's like, suddenly they start to believe into something bigger than what we started off having a conversation. They seem to have put in place certain self-limiting belief, and then through conversations it evolves into aha moments, inspiring them to do something different from what we started. So through this journey, it got me thinking, how can I bring all my experience over the years together? And that's when coaching drew my interest. And I thought, why not in the next chapter of my life journey, that I want to embrace coaching as part and parcel of what I do on a daily basis. That it gives me more opportunity to interact with individuals on a one-to-one basis, and also largely from one to many, where collectively we can create more ripple effects in our lives and in our community.
Beautiful, Mary. So as you have taken this journey and you have transitioned into coaching, what are you learning about yourself? And how do you see yourself transform? Because a lot of times when we transition careers, we focus on what we need to do. We forget to take a look at what's happening to us. So take a moment and share, because that will be a good lesson for others to pause and take stock. And how am I transforming? And how am I making sure that I am acknowledging that I'm enough? And then how do I continue to grow so that I can be what I need to be for the people I'm helping?
It is definitely preparing, learning to be a coach or evolving to be a coach. It is not limited just the technical skills. In fact, the technical skills to me is just only a tiny, weeny bit of it, because most of us do that already as part and parcel of our working life. But more of, in preparation to be a coach, is more of really looking inwards, understanding ourselves. So for me is if I go back on my life journey, looking backwards, while coaching is about forward looking, but before I can go forward, I got to look backwards.
Absolutely.
And in looking backwards, and if I trace back to the time when I was from a child, I start to understand the relationship I share with my family, especially with my parents, how our environment shaped me, conditioned me in my thinking. And that very often would have also shaped and influenced my approach to my career, thinking about, how do I interact with others in the workplace? How do we shape experiences? And that's when I start to realize, actually, along the way, I seem to have hold on to some belief systems that may have served me when I was younger. However, when you move on, you learn that, hang on, the environment has changed, but some set of belief systems, it may hold true, but to move forward, sometimes we got to let go of old belief systems. And for that reason, I'm recognizing that actually the sky is not the limit. Our belief system is the limit. And by embracing that, I'm realizing moving forward, if we don't create a space and capacity to reflect on that, there is a possibility that we end up not living life to the fullest. So just to give you an idea, for example, I discovered that, I experienced through what's the difference between scarcity mindset and abundance mindset, just through my own life journey. And also from making the shift from good girl, from a good daughter to my parents, and then moving into a good girl syndrome, carrying on that syndrome into the workplace, and then how having to break down the barrier to break free of that, to become my own person. And therefore, that is really driving and engaging with my truth. So that has been part of the journey and discovery that I have undertaken in my process over the last 2 years. And I'm really, really excited, like, being able to evolve and going through this metamorphosis of sort. It doesn't stop. Discovering that I'm enough is a good starting point, but it doesn't stop, because it's very hard once you're awakened. It's very hard to be unawakened, if you get what I mean. You cannot go back, because once you know more, it just propels you forward, that you want to discover more and more about yourself and the relationship you have with your surroundings, with your environment, and creating the right ecology to continue growing and thriving. So I'm really, really excited to have experienced that. And therefore, I feel that the time is right to hold space to help others grow and thrive.
Beautifully said. And I love how you phrased the fact that we're only limited by our belief system. Sky is not the limit. Our belief system is the limit. And therefore, if we want to thrive and we want to fly, then take an introspective journey and transform the belief system so that you can soar, right? Our history and our culture and our learning and our knowledge anchors us, but we also need to allow ourselves to fly. And I love how you've integrated both of them. And you also touched on the fact that your life has taught you to shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. And in that journey, you've also taken stock of people who love us are going to love us, and we love them. But we also need to get past that and surround ourselves with people who see the world the way we see it.
Yes.
And start building an optimistic community, because sometimes our parents, especially immigrant parents from different places, they bring old belief systems and cultures, and it's hard for them to transition. And so talk a little bit about, as a straddle generation, right? Immigrant parents in a new country, trying to move forward, honoring the history. That's not an easy place to be. What advice do you have for folks who struggle with that? Because it's a 3-generational struggle.
Yes, that's definitely. If we delay it, it's sometimes we can overlook how much that actually is embodied in us. When, both my parents, while they were born in Malaysia, for example, but their origins, their parents were not originally from Malaysia. So they brought other cultures from other countries when they came to Malaysia. And then me choosing to leave Malaysia, immigrating to Australia. So that means I'm also bringing parts of them into me, bringing into a new environment. So there's a lot of nuances in the old culture and old experiences that we anchor, as you said, anchoring us, and therefore we pick and choose quite selective about how we integrate with the system that represent us. But if we keep hanging on to the past, we will realize we may be missing very important cues in our new environment that is important for us to relate to. But it's not to fit into the system that exists, but rather to find a way that is meaningful to us, that is fulfilling, that defines us. And therefore, bits and pieces of this, they were good for what it is, but we got to be selective and be very mindful what we got to embrace and make it part of ourselves into the new environment without losing our authenticity. So that itself is a process. It's a bit hard to answer in a short sentence, but definitely having that awareness itself is a very good starting point, because we become curious, we ask questions of ourselves, we become curious, we want to know, we start to look out for cues and success factors that others may have embraced, and therefore consider to what extent that it can be our own, or maybe our differences is important, that is the value we can contribute to the new environment.
Brilliant.
So yeah, it is
Brilliant.
a journey, that's for sure.
It is a journey. And I love how you talked about our differences are not really bad. Our differences are also important, right? Our differences make us unique. Our differences makes the environment resilient. But we also need to evaluate how we can evolve, not to fit in,
No.
but to be authentically us to thrive. So I love how you balance the pieces, and that gives people an idea what happened ancestrally, all the baggages we bring, we all bring them, right? Our parents, our grandparents, all of that comes in with us because it's a 3-generational transformation, because all of that is poured into us. And as we move forward with the mindfulness, with the desire to become the best version of us, what are 3 tips you have for people to build the right community that is of the positive mindset? Because too often people around you are going to tell you, oh, don't try that. That's not going to work. This has never worked. Oh, you're trying to be something you're not, right? So it's people around you and people who grow up with you who are trying to hold you back. But how do you respect and honor that history and yet move forward and build the right relationships? Because some people struggle with it.
Oh, absolutely. And it's people who want us to stay the same. It's not a bad thing. It's because they love and care for us. And when they do that, they're coming from a place of good intention because they want to keep us safe, because that is what they're familiar with. Change is never easy. So in order to embrace change, it's important to surround ourselves with like-minded people. Kind of our vibe attracts our tribe. So to get the same vibe, it's like, reaching out to interacting with people with a same wavelength, so that, we create a community, surround ourselves with people of similar aspiration in wanting to do, to improve the quality of our own lives. So definitely one of it is, the company that we keep shapes us. That one is, I can't emphasize it enough. The change that I've been personally being able to make was also because choosing to be part of the tribe that is supportive, and having a positive mindset towards, life, especially during the COVID period. Experienced it even far more about, when we were all in our own social bubbles or even forced to be in isolation. So that's a time when surrounding ourselves with the right company will make a big difference in shaping ourselves forward. And of course, when you're in the right company, it's very natural that we form relationships. We form relationships that are meaningful and joyful, and you grow from there. And of course, this is not about giving up past relationships that we have. They are equally important. However, it's creating an environment that is nurturing for us to continue to grow. And of course, in the process of change, what made us successful in the past may not necessarily be the same measure of success moving forward. And I also learned in this process that, our success is really unique to ourselves. We create our success factors, not limited to what society say makes us successful. So I'm definitely big into, in general, everyone wants happiness. Now, the path of how to reach each other's happiness is different, and that fits in very well with my aspiration in wanting to journey along with many of my clients to get to their level of happiness using their own pathways.
Wonderful. And the thought for the day is your vibe creates your tribe. Everybody remember that. Your vibe creates your tribe. So what vibe are you creating, and how is that attracting your tribe? And if you don't like the tribe that is gathering around you, change your vibe. Change your vibe. What a profound thought, Mary. As we continue to build on this, you are a co-author of Ennobling Business for Success, and you have taken this journey with joy and optimism and with such passion. What brought you into this fold, and how has it helped you grow? And what quality relationships has it helped build?
Oh, being part of this co-authorship has been just amazing. Firstly, definitely stepping out of my comfort zone, and stepping out of one's comfort zone, speaking for myself, is not easy if you're trying to do it on your own. So being part of this community of everyone working towards a bigger goal that they have for themselves has been inspirational, and even contributing to the chapter, writing it itself was very cathartic, because it brings out a lot in us. And I think to some extent, I'm very pleased that my chapter actually captured the essence of my journey over the past years, bringing to where, me deciding to, like, from this point forward, what are the areas that I want to focus on. So the whole experience has been amazing. It's, interacting with people from different countries. That's one, different perspectives. And there is so much wisdom within the community. And this wisdom, the sense I'm getting is, most of us, in fact, all of us, we don't want to keep that wisdom to ourselves. There's so much. We want to be able to help and contribute many others. So if anyone who picks up the book, if they read a chapter, even a line, doesn't matter whose chapter it is, if it changes life of that one person, I think we have already achieved an outcome. And same chapter can also speak to so many people in different ways. So that makes it really, really exciting. And I couldn't ask for a better time than to do this joyfully with everyone here.
And this has been a joyful journey to have you as part of our authors family. And so glad you took the chance and you jumped in with faith.
Yes.
With faith and trepidation, I must say, but you had the courage and you wanted to make sure that this captured your journey forward. And so this is a good illustration for folks. Don't stay in your comfort zone. Find the right community and take that leap of faith, because there will be people in the community to catch you, to lift you up. And then as you soar, remember to take the others along for the journey, because somebody caught you and helped you soar. So now when you soar high, take a few along for the journey, because that's where the fun begins.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's a very interesting way for me to look at it from the other side. In my professional life, in the work that I do with regards to people at work, human resources, people and culture, I'm always on the side of where I'm supporting others to get there. But going through this process is like actually a bit of sometimes I think, oh, this is quite self-indulgent. It's all about me, but it's actually not about me. I've got to look hard in me so that more of me can come out. And for that, I'm really, really pleased that I've made this time to make it happen. And I can only see celebrating enoughness and going beyond this point. And there's so much more we can do, and there's a lot of collaboration that can happen from here on.
Absolutely. And one of the key points you just made, even beyond this particular example, is the fact that learning to lean in and allowing others to lift us up and help us in our journey. Most people struggle in asking for help. Most people think if I ask for help, that means I am weak, I'm not enough, and I am somehow less than, and therefore I'm not a leader, I'm not successful, people are not going to respect me. All of this negative self-talk. So from your HR coaching perspective, Mary, What advice would you give people when they are concerned about leaning in and asking for help? Because we all need it. And asking for help is actually a courageously powerful thing.
This is the time when I am taking my own advice. This is the thing that I say to everyone all the time at work, frequently. Asking for help is definitely not a sign of weakness. And in fact, it is a sign of courage and bravery. And this is where asking for help coming from the angle of good intention, and people are normally very happy to help. And because we don't ask, people are hesitating. They hesitate to help because they are concerned they might upset or offend the person. But by us asking them for help, we are actually making it easier for others to show up and contribute, because everyone wants to contribute in a meaningful way. And if we ask by us asking for help, we are actually in turn making it easier for others to also show up to be the leader that they want to be. So leaning in is a fantastic way to create opportunities for others to lean in for themselves too, and therefore bringing, in fact, that's where magic happens. When you ask for help and others contribute and they see us interacting and receptive to their contribution, it just makes them happy, and so are we happy as well, because we get a better outcome than before us asking for help.
Wonderfully said. And with that amazingly important thought, I am going to open this up for a conversation with our live audience here. So Wolfgang, I'm going to let you go first.
Hi, Dr. Cass and Mary. Thank you. I really enjoy your. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I really enjoyed your discussion, and really hit me about your vibe creates your tribe. Because as I was thinking even about joining today, believe it or not, I had to say that, oh, I'm going to join my tribe. I just said that, in my mind, because it's good to have this group that you can rely on, you can depend on. Even I know that I got lots of people in this group that I can go for questions and some advice. I wonder if you could just talk a little bit about. You said you tried to. I wrote it down here. That you try to grow with your clients. You go along the journey with your clients. Can you say more about that? What kind of things do you do as you work with them and trying to go along with them in their journeys?
Yes, thank you, Wolfgang. That's a very good question. As a coach, my clients they want change. Most of them, they want change. They have an idea about what they want, but at the same time, they struggle to be clear about exactly what it looks like. So I see myself going on a journey with the client is the driver behind the car. They kind of want to get to a destination. Now I'm the passenger in the car. So I'm journeying along with them. And we might get stuck along the way, not sure how to get to the destination. So my role as the coach is I ask questions along the way. I don't provide the answer, because the client is the one who owns the outcome and the answer. And I'm asking the question because I have a big belief. I believe in my client that they are resourceful. They have the answer within. When I hold a space, asking a question is navigating and helping them to focus towards the next step to get to the destination. So that's how the supporting the client on the journey looks like.
Thank you so much. I love that response. And again, I'm very happy and thankful to be part of this tribe.
Thank you,
Wolfgang.
Thank you.
An amazing example of being the passenger and navigator to help the client take their journey, because it is their journey. And the coach never gives them the answer. They have to find the right answer for themselves. Brilliantly said. Thank you, Mary. Go ahead, Karen. I can see you're ready. You're muted, my dear.
Sorry, I thought I hit mute. Unmute. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you, Mary. I had a question, I guess, as a follow-up to what you just said, because, you know, as a coach myself, I know often that when we're on that journey with our clients, we transform and learn ourselves, right? So can you talk
Yes.
about how that journey of going with your clients changes you?
Amazing question, Karen. Since I became a coach, I find co-creators with my clients, actually. When I started the journey with them, it's amazing how they responded to the interaction we share. And very often they actually spark even more curious questions from me, from the way that, in fact, a few of them, they say, oh, never thought I saw it that way. I never think about, never see that coming, for example. And it's because we as coach, we mirror back to them what we can see, but they can't see. And I find that fascinating. So in the process of doing that, actually, there is this exchange happening where they also mirror back something that I did not realize may have an impact on them. So personally, coaching others becomes this co-creator of an outcome that is even richer than one could ever think of if we were to do it on our own. Self-coaching is possible, but I think that it limits our possibilities. So this is where after every coaching session I have with a client, I actually feel that my cup is full because it fulfills me. It gives me ideas and motivation to even want to progress even further ahead and come up with even, inspires me to look at ways to even further support this client's growth, knowing that what the bigger picture that they want to get to.
That's a beautiful answer. Thank you. And I agree with you. I think it's, we end up being mirrors for each other, which is why it's so awesome to go on a journey with a tribe, with other people, both in formal coaching relationships and in wonderful supportive groups like this one.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely. Being a coach is like being a professor, right? You're constantly learning and transforming, and you don't even realize it's happening. It's organic. I love the conversation, Mary and Karen. Susie, go ahead. I figured you had something to share.
Mary, that was such an amazing discussion. I've taken so many nuggets of your sharing. I'm curious about the transition between a scarcity mindset that you talked about to the abundant mindset. And it's strange because, it's very normal for people to engage with personal trainers for exercise, but the concept of coaching is something relatively new. How do you see people? I mean, I think a lot of people could do very valuable, could gain a lot from coaching. What's the trigger to move from that sort of scarcity mindset and realize that I can be so much more, and to go out and start seeking help from people? Is there a trigger? Is there a point of time where, something shifts and they say, okay, it's time to go? And how can we make it easier for them to, because I love the concept of what you're saying as a coach. You're not telling people what to do. You are asking them the right question because the answers lie within.
Yes.
So in your experience, how has this worked? That what's the trigger for people to shift, and how did they approach getting coaches and engaging with you?
Thank you, Susila. That's a brilliant question. And personally, being a human resources, people and culture professional, I know very often in an organizational standpoint, some people think that coaching is special for the upper echelon of the organization. Only the executives get coaches, the rest of us don't receive coaching, for example. Well, I want to change that. Coaching is for everyone, right? So first we got to demystify that concept that it's only special for a few people. The other thing is, most people, even when they get stuck, or they cannot progress, they may see coaching as, oh, if I ask for help, that means I might come across to be on a performance improvement plan, for example. I have fallen short of performing to standard, and therefore now my manager has sent me to get help. So I'm seen to be in trouble, so to speak. That is another misconception that we got to demystify. So the thing is, coaching is very much like what you say. We are very comfortable reaching out for help for a personal trainer to exercise our muscles physically. However, the coach is more like we can see ourselves, the coach, as the personal trainer for the mental muscles, for the thinking muscles. So if we see it that way, I hope people will realize that, we may not be using all our strengths and all our abilities, and opportunities may not be so natural in our everyday environment to tap into that. Working with a coach will increase our awareness about what are the other qualities and abilities that we have to get to an outcome that we want. But sometimes we look outwards, externally, for that help without realizing actually we already have the answer within. It's just that we don't know how to get it out of ourselves. So the role of the coach is really to help us realize that, to realize our potential. And in reality, in today's world, the so-called VUCA world, it's so volatile, it's so uncertain, right? And there's a lot of things happening. It's too much for one person to just digest and try to deal it on their own. So investing in ourselves by investing in a coach to journey with us on the journey is the best investment ever one can make. And personally, I benefited from it, and therefore I'm a big believer that everyone could benefit from having a coach. Thanks, Cecilia.
I totally agree. I think it's such an asset, and I hope it really becomes normalized in culture that, you can seek a coach as somebody who guides you or supports you in such a safe space, so you don't have to go through that hard journey by yourself.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that is such an important concept for life, right? Thank you for that question, Ceci. And Mary, I love how you integrated humor and reality into the way you answered. Nobody thinks twice about enrolling their children for baseball camps and soccer camps, right? We get 3-4-year-olds involved in coaching, and every world-class athlete, including somebody like Michael Jordan, they have coaches. From the tiny toddler starting stage to the award-winning athlete, we all have coaches. Why? Because we all have blind spots.
Yeah.
We always get stuck not knowing and not seeing where the opportunities for improvement are. If we're willing to do it for sports, and if we're willing to do it to build that athletic muscle and that physical skill, why not do it for the human skill, for the very fact that we are human first, right? And I too would love to see a day where there is no stigma attached to going to a coach.
Oh.
That would be a beautiful day, because guess what? We can all feel supported, and we can all feel like, I have a place to bounce off ideas. And then a forum like this, made up of coaches and caring professionals, that is another layer, because this is where we look at perspective taking, and this is where we expand our thinking. So I love where this conversation is going. So I'm going to open this up to Marquis, who's also a coach on the physical fitness side and the human communication development side. So he straddles both. I want him to take a perspective based on where this conversation is going.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Cass. Mary, I absolutely love that you contributed today in a way that made us think, right? Like this idea of help. And I know that as I was listening and Dr. Cass just pointed out, I was thinking about, particularly in the wellness arena where I spent a lot of time. Like my brother, I'm at his house in LA. He's one of the coolest people in the world. In fact, he's my personal acting coach, which is why I've had more success in acting because of him. Literally, he is his push and his ability to see something in me that I had mental blocks around that I could not figure out how to get around. And so coaches have brought that to me because we all grow up with whatever our perceived limitations are and then live from that, not knowing that our perceived limitations we gave ourselves or our experiences gave us. And only a coach can really help you get past that on that collective journey that you described. And I know for me in the wellness arena, it's exactly that way. The people come to me, the people that I work with, I know and I tell them, listen, my goal out the gate, I love that this came to mind to remind everyone as a coach. Just like Mary, our goal is not to be with you for the rest of your life. In fact, if we're doing our job right, we're going to help you uncover to a degree that you can live freely yourself in that full expression. So Mary, thank you so much. And Dr. Cass, thank you for inviting me to share and contribute.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Marquez. And Precious, go ahead. I see that you have a question for us.
Yes, good morning, or at least morning here. I love the vibe determines your tribe, Dr. Cass. So thanks so much for that. And then as far as Mary, there are 2 points that you coached me in that you may be able to speak more to. One is those who don't want us to change, you said because they love us and want to protect us. That was helpful. That gives me more compassion. And then I could use some more insight on how to balance that with my compassion for them, with also my compassion for myself, to not let that limit me still. And then the other point you touched on that was so powerful to me is the good girl syndrome and how they are, I started to say limiting beliefs, but I changed that to confining because we have absorbed some of the, let's say, the cultural norms, the expectations that others have imposed on us. And then we're limited by that. So making sure, just addressing that and calling it a name was very helpful. But yeah, is there some more insight that you can add to either of those points, particularly, those who may love and want to protect us, because I recognize, and we do, other people can't protect us. And it's not necessarily their job always either. But how do you balance all of that with the practical, real life living and relationships?
Brilliant observation, Precious. Look, I personally was stuck for many years thinking like that, but I never knew that was a constraint, that I had built this wall around me. I did not realize that. So of course, in life, as we go through, you get into situations that define us in a different way. And when significant event impacts us personally, be it personally or professionally, we have to look deeper. I found myself looking deeper. And then when I look deeper, I realized some of those self-limiting beliefs was rooted on systems and traditions, like the good girl syndrome that I carried with me into my profession. So to peel that back, it meant that I had to find a way how to articulate that. And having that honest conversation with people I love a lot meant a lot as well, because it's opening up a conversation. It's like, if they see change, it's not that I don't care or, don't value what we have been, but being able to find the language, the messaging to say it. Now, to do that meant preparation. Preparation means having to dig deep, reframe, articulate, preparing it. So that kind of rework is something that, we are doing it because it's intentional. We still want to build a relationship. And I'm saying this is my way of stepping outside my comfort zone, and therefore this is how I want to grow. So it's definitely, that is a piece of work itself that I found it very insightful, and I have gained so much from it. That's why it has ignited my stronger, how should I say, passion for coaching even more than ever. Thank you, Precious.
Very insightful question, Precious, and love how you framed your answer. Thank you so much, Mary. And Robin, I can see you. You have a question, so go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much. It's always great to hear from you. And I loved how you talked about, bringing in elements of not only your parents' traditions from their country, but then their parents as well. And I'm wondering, how do you handle the I want to call it the positive tension of holding on what is good from the past, the wisdom of the past, with the vibrancy of new ideas? There's a balance between the old and the new. And how have you found that you navigate that path?
Fantastic, Robin. Not a very good observation. My coaching journey, my experience so far, I have discovered so many tensions. Now, the word tension can sound negative, but actually they are not. I find that it's more there. I find them to be positive tensions. For example, the caring for others, especially, if I'll be one to admit I have people pleasing tendencies very strong. So the caring for others part was very strong before and still is strong now. However, I have learned to balance that tension with self-care. And I've learned through this process, self-care is so important if I want to operate on the function of continuing to give and offer insight to others. So that was one. And then the part about the family side, it's, I come from a family where it's like caring for others is pivotal to the unit of the family coming together. Now, self-care may not be part of the makeup. So I have a role to play. It's my responsibility to help others understand why self-care is important. Because if I can also make time to take care of myself, then it makes it more possible and easier and sustainable to exercise care for others. So that means me finding the care and consideration, how to say it, and also making it psychologically safe for them to recognize that it is not a bad thing. I need to provide them the language and understanding on the journey that has brought me to this point, and not to, kind of just say, oh, I don't care anymore. It's not like, if you do it like that, then it's being very irresponsible. But to doing in a caring way means creating the space and kind of, it's a bit like, managing stakeholders at work. Yes. Don't treat everyone as the same, but treat individual needs in terms of how we relate and communicate those outcomes to them. So that helps to manage the family dynamics as well. So in fact, I personally see there's so many tools and intervention that we use in the professional workplace equally applicable in a home environment. Yes, so absolutely. It's all encompassing.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you, Robin. Thank you.
Beautiful conversation, and I love the question, Robin. And Mary, what you said is so true, right? Whether it's work, society, or home, we all stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. So we have to honor them. We have to acknowledge the fact that we wouldn't be here had they not done their part. But then for us to move forward from there, we also need to lean in and help them understand that just like they took an unconventional path to bring you here, you have to take an unconventional path to take the others forward. And when they see that almost like a relay, like a baton exchange, like, every generation is allowing the next generation to stand on their shoulders and move forward, then that becomes a respectful and legacy building conversation. Instead of you're wrong, I can't accept it, I'm going to cut off all ties. That is the negative approach. And I love the legacy building and honoring way. And that is the only way relationships work, whether at work, whether at home or in society. And that is such an important ennobling human skill. And if nothing else, I want our audience to take that with you from Mary's wisdoms today. So as we bring this to a close today, Mary, how can people get a hold of you, get in touch with you, reach out to you for your advice, your coaching? Give us a way to contact you.
Yeah, sure. Definitely the easiest way to get through to me is on LinkedIn. Look me up on Mary Vaz. There are not many Mary Vaz around, so just look up and then you will see me there. So happy to connect. And then I have also been posting, inspirational pictures from daily living on Instagram. So look me up under Mary Vaz as well, under life coaching. And and I look forward to hanging out with you in those platforms.
Beautiful. And Vaz is spelled V-A-Z as in zebra. Okay. Thank you so much, Mary. It's been such an honor to have you on this episode today. It's been a wonderful honor to have you as part of our book journey. And everybody mark your calendars. Our book launch is October 5th. There is a special offer. You can get the book at $1.99 on Amazon. Make sure you connect with us, follow us so that we can give you the link to actually go and take that promotional offer, take advantage of it. But more than anything else, the thought for the day today is your vibe determines your tribe. So go out there and put your vibe in a very positive, constructive way so that you are building the tribe that behooves you and you're transforming lives in a way that is purposeful. And in that entire process, be sure to transform yourself.